Making connections. Part of being a strong reader is making connections while you read. The more connections you can make, the better you will understand the author's perspective, experience, and ideas. The more connections you can make, the more meaningful the reading will be, and the more meaningful the reading is, the more you will enjoy it. I will use the story of Little Red Riding Hood to illustrate making connections.
Little Red Riding Hood lived in a wood with her mother. One day, Little Red Riding Hood went to see her granny. She had a nice cake in her basket. On her way, Little Red Riding Hood met a wolf.
"Hello,"
said the wolf.
"Where are you going?"
"I'm going to see my grandmother. She lives in a house behind those trees."
The wolf ran to Granny's house and ate Granny up. He got into Granny's bed. A little later, Little Red Riding Hood reached the house. She looked at the wolf.
"Granny, what big eyes you have!"
"All the better to see you with,"
said the wolf.
"Granny, what big ears you have!"
"All the better to hear you with,"
said the wolf.
"Granny, what a big nose you have!"
"All the better to smell you with,"
said the wolf.
"Granny, what big teeth you have!"
"All the better to eat you with,"
shouted the wolf. A woodcutter was in the wood. He heard a loud scream and ran to the house. The woodcutter hit the wolf over the head. The wolf opened his mouth wide and shouted,
"Oh!"
and Granny jumped out. The wolf ran away, and Little Red Riding Hood never saw the wolf again.
So now, considering the story Little Red Riding Hood, let's look at the 3 types of connections. The first type is text to text. The next is text to world. And we also have text to self. Text to text. A text-to-text connection is relating the piece that you just read to something else you have read. For example, I can make a connection between the story of Little Red Riding Hood and another story called Never Talk to Strangers. Both contain themes about the dangers of strangers to children. Text to self. This type of connection is relating the author's writing to your own life, or to someone you know personally. I can make the personal connection of having been warned against talking to strangers, just as Little Red Riding Hood is warned not to talk to strangers in the story. Finally, we have text to world. This is relating the piece to something outside your own life. It could be a news event, it could be a movie or an interview or a magazine. It could be almost anything. Text to world and text to text connections sometimes overlap. I can relate the story of Little Red Riding Hood to a news story about a child who has been kidnapped. That is about all there is to making connections. Remember, making connections is an excellent way to deepen your engagement with any material you read. You should always be trying to make connections as you read. With time, this will become natural, and you will be making connections without even thinking about it.